Hello. For our topic today, we are going to cover geometric transformations, specifically translations. Our essential question for today is, what type of movement is a translation, and how do we record it in coordinate notation? Please take a moment to copy the topic and essential question into your header. Be sure to record today's date, set up your question column and your note column, and resume the video when you're ready to begin. We're going to start today by talking about some vocabulary that will help us when we are trying to describe translations. So first of all, a translation is a movement of a shape that has been slid. We slide it around. So it's when we take the pre-image or the original figure and slide it into a new position to create an image or a copy of it. So as I mentioned, the pre-image is the original figure or object that we're moving, and the image is the result of the transformation of the pre-image or the original figure. So in the 4 different transformations that we'll be studying, you'll hear us talk a lot about pre-image and image, the original and the result. Today, we're focusing on translations, sliding figures into a new position. Some important things to note when we're talking about translations is that you must include the distance and direction. So we oftentimes will see arrows drawn onto the figures or onto the graph, and that is called a vector. We're going to use coordinate notation to describe the movement. So the first set of x and y coordinates will be where is that point on the figure originally, and then we're going to describe how it moves. So for any movement that's left or right, we'll start with the variable x, we'll use plus or minus, and then the number of spaces it moved left or right. For y, we'll do the same thing with the y coordinate, which describes the vertical movement. So we'll use the coordinate y, and then we'll use plus or minus the number of spaces it moved up or down. So here, we're not always going to use plus or minus, we're going to pick one. So we'll use the plus if the point moves towards the positives, and we'll use the minus if it moves towards the negatives. Let's go ahead and take a look to see how that works in our first example. So here's our first example. We have triangle P with the points A, B, C. So this is our pre-image, and it's been slid over to the right to create the image Q. So what our job is to notice how it's been slid, what direction, and how many places on the graph. So can you notice that? Well, let's see if we can count it together. So starting from here, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The pre-image slid to the right 9 spaces. So let's go ahead and record that over here. Well, we start with the original, we just say xy, the original points, moved, and then we describe it. Since it only moved to the right, that means only the x coordinates moved, right? Because this is the x-axis and moved parallel to that. And we said that it moved 9 places. So here I'm going to say the x-coordinate, take the original x-coordinate, and add 9 spaces. This image did not move up or down, so we're going to leave y the same. Please take a moment and fill in. So if this is A, the original points for A are at -7, 8. So that's where A was. A prime, that's how we read this, the new point, moved 9 places to the right. So what are the new coordinates of A prime? Well, -7 plus 9 was -7 plus 9. Well, that would be 2. So actually, we'll just replace this with a 2. And the y-coordinate didn't change at all. It didn't move up or down. So y is still the same. So the y-coordinate is 8. So after the translation of 9 places to the right, of sliding 9 places to the right, the original point A was at -7, 8, but it slid, and now A prime is at the point 2, 8. And we can confirm on our graph that A prime is located at 2, 8. Please take a moment and fill in the coordinates for the rest of the shape. So B, where did it started originally at -2, 1. Where did B prime land? C started at -7, 1. Where did C prime land after the translation of 9 units to the right? All right, how'd you do? So our new point should be that A went from -7, 8 to A prime at 2, 8. B started at -2, 1 and resulted at B prime 7, 1. C started at -7, 1 and resulted after the translation to C prime at 2, 1. Let's take a look at our next example. For our second example, we have another triangle, triangle R, that has been translated in this direction. So first of all, can you notice, did it move left or right to create the pre-image S? And then did it move up or down? How do you think we're going to describe that in our coordinate notation? Go ahead and pause the video here to see if we agree, to see if you can figure that out, and then check back to see if we agree. If you said that the original pre-image R moved left and moved down to create the image S, I would agree with you. So now we need to fill in our coordinate notation. How far left did it move, and how many places down? So let's count it. From the original point L, it moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left. Left is towards the negatives, so to describe that our X movement, our left and right movement, it moved to the left, so X minus, because left is towards the negatives, 7 spaces. For the Y, the vertical change, right, it moved down 3 places, 1, 2, 3. So again, this one moved down. Down is towards the negatives, so we write minus 3. It moved down 3 places. Now I'd like you to take a look at each of the original points, L, M, N, and describe where are the new points for the pre-image, the points L prime, M prime, and N prime. Go ahead and pause the video to fill that in. All right, let's take a look. How did you do? So to find our new coordinates, we take the original, and then we just follow this math and record our new coordinates. So 3, which is our X coordinate for point L, subtract 7, gives us -4. So it's now at -4. And for the Y coordinate, 7 minus 3 is 4. So L prime is at -4, 4. We follow those same steps for m. It started at 6, 1. We subtract 7 from the x-coordinate 6 and 3 from the y-coordinate 1. M prime is at -1, -2. Doing the same thing for point N, it started at 1, 1. If we subtract 7 from the x-coordinate, we get -6. If we subtract 3 from the y-coordinate, 1 minus 3 is -2. So N prime is at -6, -2. To complete your video notes, so we do want you to have this all copied down into your notes. To conclude your notes, what we'd like you to do is please take a moment to summarize in your own words to answer our essential question from this video. What type of movement is a translation, and how do we record it in coordinate notation? Once you have your summary written, take a picture of your notes and submit them on Canvas.